Hello, welcome to the THC Show. I'm your host Neil Magnuson. This is the show where we talk about THC, truth, hope, and change. Very cool things to have, THC. On the show today, we're going to have 8 out of 10 Glenn from CannaMatch.ca join us for the 420 session. We'll, of course, be visiting with the CSP Healing Wave RV. And today's show will be a lot about 420 and what 420 is all about, because tomorrow is 420. Man, that came fast, eh? It came fast, not quite like cannabis prohibition. Took a while for that to work its way up through the United States with all the fear and the hype about this crazy drug from Mexico driving people violent and insane. But the stories that were written by William Randolph Hearst about those sorts of incidents in all of his newspapers, where he was attributing the use of cannabis to the violent crimes to try to put down the Mexicans and pay them back for stealing his land and his trees and all that kind of stuff. And that eventually led to a book being written by a suffragette judge in Canada, Emily Murphy, called The Black Candle, where she talked about the different illegal drugs that were now happening in the world, because at that time, 1922, there was a bunch of different illegal drugs like heroin and cocaine, and now here comes this crazy new drug from Mexico called marijuana. And her chapter in that book is called Marijuana, the New Menace. And it talks about how people consuming that drug become completely insane. They have no sense of ethics. They lose all touch with their own personal feelings. They can be seriously harmed and have no knowledge of it. They are violent. They are lustful. They have super strength. And it's horribly addictive, and eventually you die a terrible death trying to come out from underneath marijuana. That's what Emily Murphy had to say in her book. So here in Canada, Maclean's magazine wrote an article on that chapter on Marijuana, the New Menace, in June or July of 1922. So coming right up. That prompted enough fear in Canada that a backbencher, a liberal backbencher named Mr. Belland, stood up in the Canadian legislature on January 9th, 1923, and pronounced that there was a new drug in the schedule, and sat back down without even identifying what it was, because everybody knew what it was, because everybody had read this Maclean's magazine article, and we had to prohibit that drug real fast. So it's coming up on 100 years next January that we've had the prohibition of cannabis. Yeah, they called it marijuana, but that was just a name that they used to try to demonize it and try to make it sound like something crazy. Because everybody knew what cannabis was. Cannabis was being grown. It was in the pharmacopoeia. It had medicine for hundreds of years. It was like the second most prescribed medicine in America until the late 1800s. And so they wanted to fool people about what it was. Well, in the United States, when they brought in the Marijuana Tax Stamp Act, which was going to essentially wipe out the cultivation of cannabis in America, there was one doctor, Dr. Woodward, that stood up before the congressional panel that was hearing that, and he said, "Oh my goodness, you know, this is cannabis you're talking about, this marijuana stuff, and we use that for so many things, and it's so valuable for us as a medicine. Please don't take that away from us." And he was assured that it wouldn't be a problem, because the Rockefeller family had secured a partnership with the Bayer pharmaceutical company in Germany, and they were working out all kinds of different patent synthetic medications that would be standardized doses and handed out by doctors. And he wasn't to worry about not having cannabis in the toolbox there, because modern medicine had hit the stage, and there was going to be all kinds of things for whatever it was that people needed. Well, so that's what happened. In the United States in the 30s there, they outlawed the cultivation of cannabis. Already in the early 1900s, there had been laws against cannabis possession and things like that, to do with the Mexican migrant population in the southern states. But it happened for real in the 30s, where now they were going to outlaw pretty much. They called it the Marijuana Tax Stamp Act, and it was that you had to go and buy a stamp that was quite prohibitively expensive, but still, you know, you were going to be able to cultivate cannabis like farmers had been doing for so long. But the real trick is that the local government office that would issue the farmers those stamps didn't get their stamps in time. So all these farmers that would have otherwise lined up and paid that prohibitive cost to get those stamps to continue to grow cannabis and hemp, although there was no distinction between cannabis and hemp back in those days. That's another little story that happened a little later on. But yeah, there was no stamps to be had. They said they hadn't got their stamps yet, but not to worry, because there was going to be incentives for farmers to be able to switch over to growing other crops like cotton and things like that. Because, of course, as a farmer, your crop is your livelihood. Without that, you can't feed your family and you're all going to starve to death. They have to grow something. So the United States government, when basically, like I say, outlawing cannabis through this trickery, this tax stamp that they figured most people wouldn't want because of its expense anyway, but just to make sure they didn't send any to the government offices in any of the towns that would have had them for the farmers when the farmers needed to put their crops in. So they all got switched over to other crops, and that was kind of the end of cannabis growing until the Second World War, where Japan blocked the transportation of hemp clothing from the Philippines to the United States, and not just clothing, but hemp fabrics, textiles, that much of it was being used for soldiers' shoes and for other things were being made out of this hemp. And so when that shipment, those shipments were being blocked by the Japanese, well, the United States had to get back into gear and grow some cannabis. So they entered into a selective breeding program to try to breed the THC out, because it's the THC that's the big enemy of everybody according to the states. That's the one they got to protect everybody from. If you can grow the cannabis plant without THC, well, then you're allowed to grow that. And so that's what they did, is they had a new campaign where they gave out these genetically modified seeds through selective breeding to people so that they would grow cannabis without THC. They even gave it to the 4-H clubs, so the kids could grow cannabis for the war effort, to make sure the soldiers had enough shoes and things like that. They called it Hemp for a Victory. They later tried to hide that whole campaign. They had tried to, hide that movie was ever made. But, these things eventually usually do come out. And sure enough, as it turns out, the United States government did exactly all of that. But here in Canada, 1923, we decided to make cannabis a criminal offense, to have possession of cannabis or to grow any cannabis. And there wasn't much problem with it for quite a while. In fact, there's never really been a problem with cannabis at all in any way, shape, or form. But as far as people being arrested for cannabis, they were few and far between for a long time, until the Vietnam vets and draft dodgers came and gathered in different parts of Canada, and they brought cannabis with them, and then there got to be more and more arrests. And it wasn't too long until that was the #1 thing the police were arresting people for in Canada, was for cannabis. And not arresting for growing large amounts or selling large amounts, but just for simple possession of cannabis. It was really stupid. It was terribly, terribly stupid. It's still going on in lots of places around the world. It's still going on in lots of states in the United States. Here in Canada, not so much anymore, that you might get caught with a roach, or a half a joint or a little bit in the corner of a baggie or something. But for decades, that's all it would take to get serious penalties. And much more than that would land you in jail. And so here we have these supposedly free countries that are engaged now in this attempt to try to curb the use of what they're saying is a very dangerous drug by using the criminal law and criminal penalties against people that would have anything to do with it. Well, that was a complete bastardry of our legal system. It brought nothing but disrepute to police and to judges and courtrooms. It's ludicrous. I mean, I don't know how they managed to pull the hemp over people's eyes, that they missed what was going on there for all this time. They're now trying to get out of it, except that they're not properly getting out of it, and there's still lots of problems all around the world. But in Canada, pretty much now, you can have some cannabis on you and you're not going to get a criminal penalty out of it. So, woohoo! You're supposed to have bought that cannabis from a government store where you already paid the fine up front, so you don't need to get arrested and brought into court because you already paid like thousands of dollars per pound for what it is you're buying there from the government stores. But that at least has stopped to a large degree, is that the consumers of cannabis are not being hounded and arrested like they used to be, to protect the interests of pharmaceutical companies, alcohol companies, commercial tobacco companies, textile companies, gas companies, and all these other companies, for which were all the people that were attempted to be protected from cannabis by the governments of North America. So now here in many of the states and in Canada, yeah, you're all right to have some weed. You can, in most provinces, you can even grow up to 4 plants for yourself. 4 plants will be. And you're probably not going to have the police interdict. But just try and open up a little competing cannabis dispensary. Even if you're not going to compete with the government's non-medical cannabis dispensaries, you want to actually have a dispensary that would cater to the needs of those people that need to have cannabis on a daily basis for their health issues, and they need to have it affordable because sick people generally aren't rich. I mean, some rich people are sick, but most sick people aren't rich. So, you know, this is what's going on now, and they're still using not just the criminal law and criminal penalties against these people, but they're using ridiculous penalties against these people. They're attempting to just swat that bug with the biggest bulldozer that they can find. Like, it's just crazy as can be. Ted Smith in Victoria with the Cannabis Buyers Club, he's been there since 1996 providing medicine to people with cannabis. He's never harmed anybody. There's a long, long list of thousands of people over the many, many years that Ted's been there that would stand up in his defense and say, this man helped me save my life, help get me my life back, help give me a sense of wellness that I never had before. There'd be just thousands of testimonials to support Ted Smith on the island there. I never heard anybody. Nobody's ever come forward and said, that man got me addicted to drugs and that ruined my whole life because of it. Now I don't even have a family or nothing. Never, nothing like that. Nobody ever tried to sue him for cannabis that harmed them in any way or anything like that. No children were harmed. Nobody was harmed. No babies died. Nothing. Yet the government thinks that it's okay to go ahead and levy a $6.5 million fine against Ted Smith for helping people with medical cannabis because he won't stop. And they really want him to stop because he's competing unfairly with these other government stores. It's a protection racket. How can we not see that? How are people so blind to understanding what's going on here that the government, who spent decades and billions of our tax dollars trying to convince everybody that this was some dangerous drug that they needed to protect people from, and that people just didn't know any better, but they're all being harmed seriously, and the government knows better than you, and so they're going to waste all of those tax dollars and use as big a hammer as they can find to try to keep people from having access to cannabis. I mean, that's just insane. And here now, decades later, turns out all that stuff was false. Turns out that it's not true that cannabis causes people to be violent and insane. Turns out it's not true that it's highly addictive and you're going to die a horrible death trying to stop using it. Turns out all of that stuff was not only not true, but the truth is that cannabis is one of the few things on the planet you can't even fatally overdose on. Cannabis is medicine for just about everything and anything that would ail not just a human being, but any life on this planet that has a spine. Because we've grown up on this planet, in this environment, with these cannabinoids and built ourselves a system based on consuming these cannabinoids where they worked for us to help us with all the things we need in our body. In fact, when they tried to prove that cannabis had no medical value in the late 80s, they found out that there was receptor sites that were exactly compatible with the chemistry of the cannabis plant. They named them the CB1 and the CB2 receptors, all through the brain, the immune system, our vital organs, and it binds with the chemistry of the cannabis plant. Miraculous, you would think, except not really when you think about it. Because, yes, those receptor sites are extremely complicated. For them to mesh with things outside of the human body seems unreal because, you know, the body creates these things that are like keys to go into these locks, and it ain't simple. But when you think about it and you realize that we've been consuming these cannabinoids for millions of years as life forms on this planet, and that we've developed our bodies as a result of what we've been consuming, then it makes perfect sense that this one amazing plant would be the plant that helps us with the things that aren't right in our own bodies and has built a symbiotic relationship on a very basic medical level with the life forms on this planet. And in fact, the endocannabinoid system, which is what they had to name it once they discovered it because they were trying to prove there was no medical value for cannabis, turns out, whoa, man, there's a whole system within the human body where the human body creates these identical chemicals to what's on the cannabis plant, these cannabinoids, and they're used to deal with all the maladies of the human's condition and the life form's condition. It works for dogs and cats and horses and other animals as well. In fact, cannabis, first and foremost, is an anti-inflammatory. One of the most prized and coveted things in medicine is something that would be an anti-inflammatory. And one that doesn't have any serious side effects. You can take this anti-inflammatory and you might get a little bit of hunger. Might make a little sweet tooth nagging you a little bit. If it's an indica strain or something towards that side of those cannabinoid profiles, then maybe you'll be a bit sleepy. And sleep's a really good thing if you're not feeling good because it helps, that's when the body heals itself. Provides a bit of euphoria at the same time, which is a wonderful thing too for a medicine to provide euphoria. Because if you're taking a medicine, it's because you don't feel good. Well, holy smokes. You want to feel good. Now you get to take a medicine, and the medicine makes you feel good. It doesn't just help your body heal itself so you feel better. You actually go like, wow, man, that's really cool. I'm forgetting all about the fact I got pain going on. I'm looking at this little anthill over here and thinking how industrious those little creatures are. Or whatever it is that you're distracted into being, involved with that isn't the pain that you're otherwise focusing on. Cannabis is a marvelous medicine for people. It helps people sleep. It helps people going through cancer treatments to continue to have an appetite and not throw up so much. It helps with your overall mood. You just feel high, right? High, that's a label we put on a certain way of feeling. A way of feeling where everything's a little funnier. Colors are a little brighter. Music sounds a little more like dancing to. Sex, wow, holy shit. All these things are enhanced by cannabis. Many people suffer from depression, lack of sleep, pain, numerous other things. So here's this plant that's been used for thousands of years through all these cultures around the world. And somehow, 100 years ago, the brainiacs in Ottawa, without doing any research into it, fell for the lies that were being told. Or were they? Maybe they were part of that whole conspiracy to protect the interests of all those things that cannabis is good for, like medicine and textiles and fuel, etc. Maybe they were in on it. Or maybe they were just plain old stupid, believed what they read in the magazine by the judge that, wanted to hype things to sell books. Maybe they just bought into that. But either way, they were grossly negligent. Or they were downright criminal in trying to prohibit a plant that we've had a symbiotic relationship throughout the millennia that helps us sleep, helps us with pain, helps us with our mood, helps us get along with each other, helps us enjoy life. And they're going to take that away from us at our own expense, jail people, ruin people's lives, lie about it, all the way for 100 years, where now we know it's medicine. We've had these stories come out. That was the 419 warning, by the way. You got less than a minute to roll something up if you don't already have it. And I got to wrap it up too. So yeah, 100 years coming up with this nonsense. This very, very expensive, dangerous, and life-ruining nonsense. It's time we turned this around. And it's time we did it. Maybe the 420 rally can do it. We'll see. Have one wherever you are. Glenn Wells, come on in, buddy.
I am.
It must be 420 if you're here.
There. Yep.
You are like a clock.
Oh, I got 419. We're a little bit early today.
Yeah, but I mean, the fact that you're here for 420,
oh, yeah,
every single show, even when I'm not here.
Yeah, except for May 17th.
You're like a clock.
Yeah, May 17th I won't be here.
Okay, well.
But I'll miss one. But that's because of my mom. And moms are more important, I guess.
I'm sure there's... Oh, look at that.
Look at that, right on
It
the
is
nose.
420.
420.
Were you like hanging around out there waiting for that, John? John Murray is here. John Murray is a fantastic character that not only helps us amazingly with helping people out at the CSP, but he's a big part of a lot of other things that happen in Vancouver here with respect to cannabis stuff. So now we have a 420 pamphlet that John has put together. He was responsible for the other one that we had for the last 420 that was something to be held in 2019 as well.
That's a large.
Okay.
Extra large.
And he also has new CSP pamphlets. We've altered it a little bit there to bring them up to date.
Okay.
And
is that a medium?
That's an extra large. I think this is a medium.
This is for
all right. So
sir.
out with the old.
Yep. Are we taking our shirts off?
I am.
Woo!
You do whatever you want.
It's sexy time.
We're doing it right live.
Out with some more old.
Yeah.
Large?
Oh, yeah.
Large.
Hold on.
Woo! See, I double up on the 420 shirts just in case. So
just in case.
If I ever get one too messy that I have to take it off, I got another one underneath it.
Oh, thank you, John.
You're welcome.
And here's the new one.
Yep.
Oh, man.
There it is.
Vancouver 420.
You see people wearing these shirts, they'll help you out tomorrow.
Yep. Look for the green or the red.
Yeah, or the red.
Or what's the security color this year, John?
Black.
Black and security.
Red is
Harm reduction. First
aid. White out.
Yeah, and green is for volunteers.
Okay, I gotta go over.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
John, I'm gonna move this box because it's in the way.
Put her anywhere you like.
Down there.
My job.
And do you have a joint is the bigger question.
Out in the car.
Oh, I can give him one here.
Actually.
Here, John. Okay.
It is 420.
And Neil's got one for him.
So let's see what we got here. Welcome to the 28th Annual Cannabis Protest and Farmers Market, where we gather to protest the unjust laws of the Cannabis Act and celebrate all things cannabis with live music and a farmers market, vendors allowing for low barrier access. We hope you enjoy being a part of this unique protest and celebration. It goes on to say, the laws prohibiting, restricting, and overregulating cannabis have been an unjustified burden on all Canadian taxpayers and cannabis consumers for over 99 years. That's what I was just telling you. The first laws against cannabis were enacted in January of 1923. This extremely costly attempt to prohibit cannabis has prevented Canadians from being able to reasonably access cannabis to improve their mood, better their health, and or escape addiction, which we didn't even talk about that.
No.
We will. The annual day-long protest on April 20th in Vancouver has grown into one of the most important opportunities for people to voice their concerns, thanks to the dedicated work of Vancouver cannabis rights activists over the last 3 decades. This tradition and momentum continues this year, with the cannabis community coming together to make it happen, united in our goals to have low barrier access, easy access for consumers and producers. We are determined to be heard. We find the current so-called legalization to be nothing short of running a protection racket, funded by the taxpayers, for a scheme to monopolize the marketplace while excluding the vast majority of legacy producers, and dispensaries that employed thousands of people, charging higher than prohibition prices, essentially paying a huge fine up front, and leaving daily users, the poor and marginalized people, and most importantly the medical users, without any reasonable access. Please join us as we demonstrate what a cannabis marketplace should look like, and add your voice in protest to the unjust laws that directly discriminate against the disabled to make the lucky few with licenses rich. Yeah. Canada deserves cannabis freedom. There you go.
Amen. That's good. I like that.
Good. I wrote that.
That's really, you wrote that?
I wrote that.
Oh, there you go.
But John printed it.
John printed it.
John printed it.
All right. I'll take one of the flyers.
I wrote it.
You kind of did. You might have added one little line in there, I thought. Is that true? I like it. It's a good one.
Somebody online from Grenada said hi.
Well, hi back to Grenada.
Yeah, it's Kimron.
I know Kim, man.
Yep,
Kim's an awesome guy. We've conversed in the past.
I said hi. So
right on, man. It's been years now since we've started conversing, about what's going on there, and he's doing really good work there, trying to get the same. We all share the same goals, cannabis, cannabis consumer freedom, cannabis producer freedom, cannabis freedom.
Yeah, I'm a good consumer.
You are. You don't cough, you don't get off.
Yeah.
That's what they say,
And CannaMatch is on here too, I gotta say.
Inside.
On the inside. Oh, where are we? Oh, yeah, right there. Nice. Cool. Thank you. Very good. Yes.
So that's wonderful. Yeah, 422 more row.
What do the hoodies look like, John?
I don't know.
Oh, you didn't make the hoodies? Okay.
Tom's not a hoodie maker.
No.
Well, didn't he make hoodies for us?
No, he put.
Oh, it was sweaters. It was the sweaters. Yeah.
He didn't make sweaters either.
No, he just
he put the
patches over
patch
top
on there.
Yeah.
He's talented, but he's not completely all talented. maybe he could make t-shirts or hoodies. I have no idea. Probably he could.
Anyways, people should come down to booth number 25 and see Spagholi and his love cannon.
Oh my God, Spagholi!
Spagholi and his love cannon will be at CannaMatch's booth. If you want to get stoned, super tote, or whatever, come see us at booth 25. There'll be lots of smoke coming up from the booth.
Most of the things at 420 this year are not going to be like a step up or an improvement on 2019 because that's a real high bar there. But Spagholi, he's outdoing himself for 2019.
He sure is.
He's got a new love cannon. If you witness this other one, that was something else. But he's got a new one, and holy smokes, does that ever spread the love?
They almost thought there was another fire in Vancouver coming out of the studio last Friday.
It was probably reported to the fire department. Oh man, yeah, he is spreading the love with his new love cannon.
It is,
and he's going to be at the CannaMatch booth. So there's a lot of love going on.
Yeah, and I thank Neil for hooking me up with Spagholi. That was very nice of him. Thank you very much.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, he made it! Grab a chair.
Now what are we going to do?
Grab a chair.
There's no chairs.
I don't need a chair. Look.
All right.
I can just crouch.
There we go.
Kato's already had his time in the spotlight, so we're going to
Sterling made it. There he is.
the professor from Saskatoon.
There we go.
He's here to
Howdy
speak.
doodly, everybody.
All
He's here
right.
to speak. There he is, right there on the program.
Oh, you put my name on something.
Put your
What
name
time
on
is
the
he up?
program.
What time?
You can prove to your grandchildren
So
that you
you're on-
actually did
you're on
that.
at 5:40.
No, we don't know about that.
You're a protester now.
We'll see how that all works out.
You want a chair?
Look
We're
at
good.
that. Well,
Thank you.
no, it's okay.
We're good.
No, there's only so much room in here, right? So
It's all good.
Yay!
I
My
got
buddy is here.
my little
Speaker's
plant
here.
now. We're doing plants. You can
There we go.
there you go. There's a couple of little ladies in there.
coming up.
Right?
Hopefully they're ladies.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're not feminized seeds, so they may or may not be ladies.
That's okay. That's
We'll
okay.
find out later.
That's part of the fun. Is the
Yeah,
guessing
yeah.
game.
That's a part of the game.
If you haven't got your seeds in the ground, do that. It is time to grow.
I'm doing that May 1st.
It's coming right up whenever. Right around now is when the seeds start going in the ground.
Well, you see, in Saskatchewan, we're not supposed to plant until May 15th.
Well, you
because
can't
it's
plant
snowing
May
back
15th,
there,
dude.
yeah.
Like shovel snow.
That's like a swear word where I come from.
Didn't you
put
get
it on
snowed
video.
in on the way here or something?
Yeah. Through Rogers Pass, it was.
see.
And when he was leaving, he said, "I'm leaving Saskatchewan because it's going to snow." He put it on video.
So how are the roads?
The roads themselves are actually really good.
Okay, good.
Yeah, the plows were out. They were salting. But it wasn't even sticking. It was still like 1 degree, maybe -1, even through the
just wet
pass.
snow.
Cool.
Yeah, it was wet snow. So
I'm much more worried about potholes. That we had a lot of flooding, a lot of stuff coming down from the hills. So I'm not sure what that's all about. I got to go to Kelowna right after 420 Thursday morning. I'm jumping in the car and driving to Kelowna. I'm going to be up there for the Craft Cannabis Summit that's going on. That should be awesome. There's politicians paying attention to that. Media's paying attention to that. There's lawyers involved. There's all kinds of good cannabis people involved. They've asked me to come up and speak to them about what we're doing here with helping people get off of opioids and beat addiction with cannabis. So that should be an awesome event, and that's what's happening. So I was a little concerned about the roads, so I'm glad to hear they're good.
Yeah, there should be a better.
Roads were good.
And it's supposed to be warm this weekend anyway, so
Yeah.
there'll be no snow up there at all.
Nice.
Yeah. It's supposed
I don't mind driving in the elements.
No, neither do I.
I'm all good
You're
with
from Saskatchewan. I'm from Toronto. I don't want to drive in the snow.
My family might have been from Saskatchewan,
Oh,
but I'm not from
okay.
there.
Yeah,
Well,
you're much smarter than that.
Yeah, well-
I apparently am still stuck in the same loop.
I never had the choice, although you can move there anytime. But my dad, his dad, left Saskatchewan when my dad was about 12.
Okay. All right.
And I came to Vancouver here, and then the rest is history. Here I am. So. But,
Wow.
so you've yet to leave, but they need you there.
Yeah.
And you got kids and roots and family and stuff.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, we have a really tough time in Saskatchewan. A large chunk of our province are people who are elderly.
Right.
And people from that area tend to be very stuck in their ways about what they've been taught and what the doctors have fed them, and it's very difficult to get them around that. And not only that, the stigma there in Saskatchewan is horrible, because what the province has done, essentially, even for recreational, is in most cases with the federal laws, is there's a certain nanogram limit for drivers who are not medical patients.
I see.
But Saskatchewan has actually put it at no limit. Nothing. You get nothing.
Zero tolerance.
Zero tolerance.
Wow.
Not only
With
that.
no justification. No evidence to justify that.
Right. But now here's the tricky thing. What they've done is they've made everything that deals with that infraction is completely clerical. There is no...
So you don't get to go to court.
There's no legal recourse for you at all. So basically you get labeled as someone who drives impaired. The police can pull you over at any time and test you whenever they want. And even then, a lot of the testing things are flawed. They're not supposed to test if you've been smoking, if you've been eating. There's all these different things, right, that they're not supposed to do, and they do them anyways because they're SGI, which is the government insurance provider for vehicles there. So we're unlike BC and Alberta, where it's not usually is BC's government control?
It is, yeah. ICBC.
ICBC, that's right. So basically the same thing is they're putting a large control, and so it seems to be a very large money grab.
Right.
And we have also another issue. There is an accident that involved a child in Saskatoon a while back, and unfortunately the young lady lost her life, which is unfortunate. But the person in question is a police officer's daughter, and the first call that she made was not to the ambulance. It was to one of her parents. And they are also now trying to stick on the fact that she had too much THC in her system, and that's what caused the accident. But they didn't test her until the day after.
Right.
So any alcohol or any other drugs that would have been in her system would have been gone. Whereas cannabis tends to stick. So now they're really pushing for that. They've upped their enforcement against cannabis users. Right, and even patients are getting hit, like because
of course they would,
and because there is no legal recourse. How are patients supposed to fight for their rights? Because they technically haven't broken a law; they've broken it.
Well, we need to sue the governments. That's what we need to do.
Yeah.
What happens if you're traveling from BC to Ontario and you get pulled over in Saskatchewan and you got THC in your blood?
The same thing that would happen to anyone in
But in my province, I'm allowed to. So wouldn't it be like, shouldn't your body be to whatever province you just happen to probably be traveling through a province that doesn't allow it, but you don't live there or anything. So
right. So I mean, and that's really the question. I guess that would be one way to go about it, because then there would be clerical issues which you could then actually sue the Saskatchewan government over because you're from a different province. So
where certain standards are allowed, and all he's doing is traveling through your province.
And there's not a hard enough push yet from the cannabis community members that are in Saskatchewan. Once some very people with deeper pockets get hit, you can guarantee you're going to see it. But that's
more numbers of people, and then there will be some sort of a class action.
Right.
Wouldn't do that.
Wouldn't even those people that take the pharmaceutical cannabinoid also test positive on that test? And that's a government pill that they're giving you.
I'm kind of questioning that, because if they're still using just the swab system, the question is it actually in your saliva, right? Because they're not testing bloodstream, they're testing saliva, and that's usually done from imbibing via smoke or an edible of some sort, or vaporizing, right? Where it's actually in your saliva, whereas when you take a pill, there's a shell on it, so it shouldn't leave any trace inside your mouth, and then your body actually has to digest it first in order. And I think it's Marinol. I think Marinol.
Yeah, or there's another one that I used to take too, but I can't remember the name.
Sativex. That's not a synthetic. That's an actual, and that's the one that would probably be an issue. I don't know. That's why you're the professor.
Mine was like $55 a pill.
Wow. Yeah,
it was very expensive.
Insane.
That's the other thing. Sesame, that's right. Yeah. And that's the other thing is none of these medications are covered. The only people in our country that are covered by government.
Mine was covered here.
Oh, really?
Yes.
And veterans are covered.
And I was going to say, and veterans.
But then I have Blue Cross because I'm persons with disabilities, so maybe that's why it was.
But it took a while for Blue Cross to get on the plane on that one, and they did. And one of the biggest issues with the insurance companies is because they don't have enough information. That's what insurance companies are based off of, is the information that they have from pre-existing issues. So that's why vehicle insurance because there's been numerous vehicle accidents. They have all the numbers for that. But they don't have anything for cannabis. And even home insurance is an issue.
Yeah.
Right? People are losing their home insurance because they grow cannabis inside their house.
Which the government allows you to do.
Right. And now Health Canada, who still seems to think that they can control our health and control our bodies, is really pushing to push cannabis patients out and get rid of medical.
Wow. Yeah, I know they never like that. It's always only because of the courts that we have it at all.
They don't like losing.
Yeah, that too.
Right, because every time that
I had to get my MP involved in my renewal, and now Jack Lloyd also, because it's been almost 2 years, and I keep getting, oh well, there's a message for a supervisor to call you. There's a message for a supervisor to call you, but nobody's
seems to be a lot of.
When I call Brad Viss's office, they're getting the same thing. So the guy's kind of seeing the jerk around. I'm getting, well, we're still waiting for a call from them. And I said, yeah, see, this is what they've been telling me too, right? And yeah, it's just they're fucking us around.
And you know, with the Cannabis Substitution Program, it's 19 months now since we submitted our application to Health Canada, asking for them to approve it on an emergency basis, and they said a year ago, last December, that they should probably have it for us in January a year ago.
I remember that call.
And now they're just saying that they're still working on it every day. You know, either they're extremely incompetent, or what they're working on is to not give it to us, and in which case they're doing a fine job. But if they're competent at all, you know, they wouldn't have let us wait all this time. You know, we're out doing our thing in an RV.
Yeah,
you know,
for 17 months, 18 months now.
The fact that the government is barely giving you an actual response is just absolutely abhorrent.
It's criminal.
I mean, it is criminal because you're out here doing good, like real solid good for people. And
we know we're saving people's lives. The people come and tell us and thank us and tell us that we've saved their life. We know that we can do more, and that we're not doing as much as we could because we don't have that government support. So there's no question on our mind. They're not just letting these people die. They're actually outright murdering them by preventing us from saving them.
That's right.
And there's not much other way to candy coat that. That's what's going on here.
So the low barrier access is very important, especially a lot of the viewers that watch your show don't exactly know what it is to experience what goes on in a city such as Vancouver. And for the most part, you drive into town and everything seems normal. And then you get closer and closer into places such as down here in East Cordova, and the way that the streets are littered with people who are broken, homeless, and have lots of trauma. And the best thing that we can do is reach out and help them. And some of the ways that you guys are approaching is probably one of the best ways that I've seen so far. And it works. It works, and it's tried, tested, and true.
And we just want to have the option. I mean, we can't rope anybody, tie them down, and force edibles into them. But the option needs to be there. And the education needs to be there. That's the role that the government needs to play in this, is to make sure that the option is there and the education is there. And not education about, hey, this stuff is dangerous, make sure you don't grow more than 4 plants. Education about how those edibles can work. There can be problems if you eat too much of it. Start low and go slow.
That's it.
That type of advice is what the role of government is supposed to be. But instead, you know, they won't allow it.
Yeah.
They basically just won't allow it. They say they're working on it.
They want to be right.
But the proof is in the pudding. They have not allowed it. For all of this time, we've been doing the program. We're in our 6th year. We passed the 5-year mark last February. Right at the very start, I went to City Council to ask them to support us.
And they did.
It took 2.5 years, and then they passed a motion to support us. But when push came to shove, and we actually had the storefront, and now we need their support, they said, well, we're going to hold back our support until Health Canada provides you with their license. So, ostensibly not supporting us, although they have the power to shut us down or to try.
Yeah.
You know, we could have a little cat and mouse game here. The cops could come and raid us, and we could find some other storefront, or, you know, we could do it on there's a lot of different things we could do here to keep it going. and they could be actively trying to prevent us, they're
that's
not.
That's what I was about to say. I was my brain went out of the box. You're saying that the government is not really acting on you, but they're not really acting on you.
That's right.
Also, right?
They're
not shutting you down, even though they haven't given you that permit yet. That they haven't sent the big guys to come in and do something.
There is now some permission
kind of
in not having them come after us.
Yes,
you know,
a gray area.
No ticketing by the parking department, no intervention by the police.
Good.
So, in fact, we're 17 and a half months out there. I figure if we go 2 full years, we get squatters' rights.
That's the rule?
I don't know if that's the rule, but it should be if it isn't.
Well, they keep on making their own rules. Why can't we make ours?
And I thought we were in charge here anyway. I thought the public was supposed to be in charge here in Canada.
There's Pat. He says, "Hey, fellas."
Hey, Pat.
Yeah,
looking forward to seeing you tomorrow, buddy.
See him tomorrow. He was at my house this afternoon.
Yeah,
you didn't make it in.
I'm so excited.
Oh, that's right. We're on it now.
And you know what? The weather is going to be great.
It looks like it's going to be
okay.
okay.
It's going to be great. It's going to no rain
sunny
until
right
11
now.
p.m. They're saying no rain till 11 p.m. tomorrow night. Yes.
So that is amazing.
Yeah. Come on down. It's going to be really big. There's over 100 booths. We're sold out. And then Erica is in the back with more booths, right?
Yeah, and there's free, lots of free space for people. Nobody's going to be turned down. If we have to start putting booths out on the street, we will. We'll shut the streets down if there's enough people that want to do that.
Oh, and we've done that before, haven't we?
We've done it before. We'll do it again.
Booths on the street,
Nobody's going to get turned away. Everybody's going to get a space to be in. That's just the way it is.
All right. Well, I know 2 people who wanted a booth in Mission, and they were disappointed because they didn't get to it. But as soon as we're done here, I'm going to put it. I'll let them know.
The paid booths are there so that some people can support what we're trying to do. Because putting up a platform to protest off of. Having porta potties, having security, paid security, a whole bunch of other costs that are involved in this, they need to be covered somehow. In fact, I'm telling you, the organizers do not have deep pockets. I'm not even sure we have any pockets.
Oh, there it is.
But yeah, we're making this work, and we're making it work because there's a bunch of people that want to support what they're doing, and they pay money to us for 2 reasons. One, because they care about the event happening and they want to help finance that. And 2, they don't want to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and have to go and find out where they can put their booth. They want to have a space that's being looked after, that's prepared for them, that they can come and put their booth up. Yeah. And so it's very convenient for people, but it also allows for the event to happen. But we don't take up all of the space at all. We make sure that there's lots of space for people who don't want to pay, can't pay, didn't know they were supposed to pay, whatever it is. Those people are just as important as anybody else to us as organizers. We make sure everybody gets a space that they're happy with. And like I say, if there's more people with tables and tents than there are spaces within the art gallery area, we'll take a street and start putting booths up on the street, and we will extend our event. We don't know how big it's going to be. We outgrew the art gallery once already this year. These years. We're probably going to quickly outgrow it again. And then we'll see what we do.
Is there a time? I remember at the beach you couldn't start setting up until about 6 in the morning. Is there a time at the art gallery where these free? Because the free booth people are always the first to get there.
I haven't been there today. I've had people tell me what's going on there today. There's a movie being shot there. I forget which one. The Flash or something. I think it's a Flash.
Yoko Ono, Imagine Peace.
No, that's the art gallery.
There's a movie.
Yo's here from out of town as usual,
and he's
trying to give us misinformation from Quebec, of course. So
there's a movie going on.
It's just what we do. What else can you do? You send misinformation. We send it to them. They send it to us. We're all fighting all the time over nothing. It's just misunderstandings.
And when we were growing up, the only thing that was fake news was the Inquirer.
And y'all knew that was fake. Everybody knew that every story in there was made the hell up.
And that's still going to the national.
And now you just never know.
Inquiring minds want to know.
So be an analytical, critical reader and watcher of things for sure. That's just the world we're living in. You got to pay attention. Don't buy anything hook, line, and sinker. Recognize all sides have their bias, and that's what they're basing their stories on, including whatever ones you think are right. And so let's just, take a grain of salt with everything that we're told. Use your mind, use your reason. See who's making money is the most important thing. See who's making money. If that's driving the story. If there's somebody going to, booster shots are great. Well, brought to you by your local pharmaceutical company. Well, at least you understand the source of those kind of things, right? Yeah. What are they going to say? Booster shots are not really necessary? Not if they're the ones selling them. So, this is the world we're living in. Anyway, yes, there will be free spots. We will take the street. What else did you want to know?
Is there a certain time before they can start setting up? So we were talking.
So as far as I understand, the Flash has the art gallery. They have under contract to be able to use that until about midnight tonight. And they always leave their equipment there until the next day, and they come and get it. So we talked to them early on. Because the city made some stupid noise about, you can't have a stage and you can't have vending. We think that's okay now that they understand that this isn't a stage, it's a platform.
It's a platform.
And this is a protest. Yeah. And it doesn't matter if we pay John for his stage to come and set it up, or if we pay Bill to rent his stage and put it up ourselves. It doesn't make any difference. They're just being stupid, and they're harassing us and discriminating against us like they wouldn't do with any other group. Any other group, they would say, that doesn't quite fit what we're talking about. Well, we can make that work for you. With us, it's like, let's see if we can find something that isn't quite right and then use that against them. So this has been going on for years. They need to stop doing that. They need to start helping us with our events.
It's your soapbox. Who cares how big your soapbox is, right?
It's a bunch of soapboxes put together.
That's right.
That's it.
100 years already. 100 years already. This has been wrong for 100 years. We've been talking about it plain and simple, clearly, loudly for all of these years. They're still not listening to us.
I'm a firm believer we wouldn't be paying any environment tax if we were growing hemp for these 100 years.
We'd be such a rich country. Right? Oh my God. They're squandering our opportunity to be a rich country and to have all of our people be wealthy people.
Yeah. And healthy because they're smoking cannabis.
Oh my God, this has been enough already. We deserve a big platform. We deserve a whole day. We deserve to be able to make loud speeches about, and loud music to bring people in, whatever it takes. They ain't got nothing. They never come to us and say, we're not in favor of your protest because you're not completely right. That marijuana stuff, that really needs to be restricted heavily. What about the children?
They used to do that.
They don't come and talk to us.
What about the children?
We got the CSU for that.
What about the children? By the way, here's some pills. Take these.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me know how it goes.
Exactly. We say, hey, you're putting people in jail. They're usually because they can't sleep properly without it at night. What are you doing here? This person isn't sleeping right. They're helping themselves, and you're going to arrest them? Stop doing that. And they go, okay, it helps people sleep. But we're still going to restrict it heavily. And nobody's died. But we're still going to restrict it heavily because what about the children?
Or if we grow it, we're going to irradiate it so there's no health benefit to you. You're just smoking some crap.
And if you grow it, you got only 4 plants. Don't be sharing that. That's not enough to share. So.
Next thing you know, we're going to need to have a medical license for corn and strawberries and apples.
Because it's a good for you.
That's right, because they're not getting their cut. So
if they can do this with this plant, with this amazing plant, this plant that is better than any other plant that you can buy, strawberries, cucumbers, whatever you do. This is the one plant that people really could use. Anybody who's tried it loves it, knows it helps them. And yet that's the plant that they're going to criminalize. If they can do that to this plant, then you betcha they can do that with strawberries or anything else that they decide is too good for us. You know?
Yeah.
No, we live in a corrupt world here. That's been my whole point through all of my 20-some years of doing this, is this is not freedom. No. And without freedom, we're fucked.
Yeah.
We're really fucked. We've already seen that over the last couple of years, right? I'm pretty sure everybody has had a stark realization of what your rights really mean.
Yeah. And I am sorry, Annie Barbie, but that's what's going on here.
But then now I heard on the news that they might be revisiting that Constitution thing after the 40 years, right?
They do that
because the indigenous people want their rights now.
Are you talking about redoing our charter?
Yes. Yeah,
I listened to an interesting program with a constitutional expert about that.
Yeah.
The charter is by the will of the people.
Yes.
It's by the will of the people.
Yeah.
So whatever the people decide is kind of normal and accepted and that's what they want, then that's what the courts are going to be interpreting. Yeah. So now we got a bunch of people who are saying, beat up protesters that were there at Parliament Hill standing in the way. Yes, we want to have the bank accounts of protesters frozen. The truckers were evil terrorists and they did the right thing. That's the will of the people. And that is scary for me. in thinking about how in the future the courts might be, interpreting that with respect to rulings on different things.
There's a saying, and it's the longer and more you protest something, the more likely that they're going to make it illegal, or make protesting that specific thing illegal. All they're trying to do is silence you from speaking a truth or speaking something and creating direction from the people.
Exactly.
Because it's supposed to be for the people, by the people, and there's a couple American fellas who said some pretty good speeches that hone in even with their own Canadian heritage. But it's very simple. Our rights are our rights. Do I think that the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms should be changed? No. Do I think it should be added to? Yes.
That's what I meant. Right. But that's still a change, though. If you're adding to it, you're changing.
Well, no, but if you're adding more freedoms, is what he's saying.
Yes,
he's saying about adding more freedoms rather than taking away more freedoms.
I was actually at my aunt's the other day, and my aunt Lynn and my uncle Clint, they're farmers, and my uncle Clint is a very stout man, and he very hardly believes in his rights. And I was in their home yesterday, and I was very pleased to see the Bill of Charter of Rights and Freedoms up on their wall, framed, legible, so you can read it. And I pointed out to my kids, and two of them can't quite read yet to understand, but the 13-year-old was very interested in it.
We are relying on that. It has helped us, since its inception with respect to our fight for, recognition that cannabis possession or growing is not a crime. But we'll see what the future holds. I do believe we have to probably go through the courts because the government's not responding to us when our application is extremely compelling. It doesn't just show the lack of harms that have been caused by us putting millions and millions of milligrams high-dose edibles into this neighborhood over the last 5+ years. But it's very compelling in the stories that were presented. We included video testimonials from people of how much it's helped them. Very compelling when you look at the numbers with respect to how many people are affected by this overdose crisis, how many people are using those substances in private and in secret that we didn't understand until 5 years ago when people started dying in neighborhoods all over the place. It didn't matter their demographics of where they were. There's people that are addicted to opioids because they're given out for trauma and for workplace injury and for whatever else. And so those people get addicted like anybody else if they use them too much for too long, and they can't get through the withdrawal, and then they become these people that spiral out of their employment, spiral out of their relationships, spiral out of their own personal care for themselves, end up in places like the downtown east side where at least there's services where they can get a meal, they can get the drugs that they want, those sorts of things. We're seeing that this is touching all neighborhoods all over the place.
Yeah, it does not matter.
And we have a solution. High-dose cannabis edibles. Either let us provide them or put them into government stores, price them reasonably, put them in such a way that there's compassionate pricing for people that need to use a lot and need to use every day. Real compassionate pricing,
Free.
Well, as close to it as possible because that's the only way we're going to heal people.
If the government got out of the way, we'd have that.
If people had money and knew what to do with it properly and knew what to do, then they would probably be better to do it, more likely to.
But like you say, people are still confused. The older people were brainwashed severely, and
Well, most of this was caused by addiction is caused by trauma.
Yes.
Whether it be emotional or physical or whatever the case may be. Right. But it was the readily accessibility to large amounts of opioids from the pharmaceuticals that allowed this to happen. I was here in Vancouver in the mid-90s, like 96, 97, and heroin was a big thing back then, but it was never like this, ever. Never in my wildest dreams did I think that we would see something like this one day.
I never thought it was going to get worse. I thought it was going to get better. I'm an optimist, and that's
we have high hopes, right? And so the problem was that once we seen it, we realized, hey, wait a second, it's not getting better. We need to do something about this.
Well, and it was Oxys, right? It was the pharmaceutical companies, and it was Purdue primarily that pushed Oxycontin and lied about it.
Yes, they
got it labeled as a non-addictive opioid. It spread like wildfire. Spagholi, talking about his love cannon coming up at 420 there. He shared a little bit of his history with us on a Neil's show the other day about how, he'd wake up in the morning and do an 80 an 80 oxy to start his day, and then
Wow.
you know, more and more all through the day, and that's common for a lot of people out there. So, you know, that was a big push to this here, closing down the local mental health, I don't know what to call it, institution, you know, Riverview, which was a horrible institution and has a nasty history of how people were treated. But they didn't replace it with anything.
Yeah.
No,
they just closed it down.
They just closed it down. And they turned all those people onto the streets.
Toronto with 999 Queen Street. They kicked a whole bunch of people out and just let them on the street.
Yeah. They have nowhere to go.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right.
And so we've got a lot of those people that were in terrible mental shape, and with some supports at Riverview, even though it was not a good place for people, just on the streets here, just living out their horrible, you know, existence on the streets here, suffering day after day.
Alleys.
In the alleys, on the sidewalks, all over the place. It's and what's the government's response now? I mean, we've got
response?
Well, they say they're doing stuff. They tell me when I write them, they write me back and they say we have put millions of dollars into the opioid crisis, and we continue to do so, and we are continuing to explore all these options for a safe supply.
Yeah.
Well, this is the real safe supply. High-dose cannabis edibles are the safe supply. What they're exploring are options provided by pharmaceutical companies that would be maintenance-based, not cure-based, that continue the problem.
That's right.
That shifts the funding from the gangsters there to the gangsters here. But they're not trying to help. They're not open to what would actually help, because we've been demonstrating it for over 5 years. This is what helps. People come to our RV all day long, every day, saying, thank you, thank you, thank you, man.
Yeah,
my son and I have been open on Mondays now since the Blue Door was shut down because the neighborhood is in trouble here.
Yeah.
And I had a fella here yesterday, he said, you know what, I took one of those edibles, I slept for 16 hours. He said, I can't sleep, I never get to sleep. He says, that was so valuable to me.
High five.
You know, and we get that all day long. People telling us that, you know, oh my God, I got so much relief from my suffering because of what you're doing here. Yeah. So why isn't the government here checking us out? I mean,
because they don't want to be
a year and a half or plus more since our application went in, they've never come to see us here.
Yeah.
They've, you know, we've put in our application that this is how profound it's helping people. Yet they don't even come here and check us out because they really don't care. They really don't want anything but to protect the interests of the big boys that have invested in the cannabis industry and the big pharmaceutical companies that want to provide pharmaceutical answers to what's going on here. We are living in a very corrupt world where our public servants are serving the interests of big corporations, and really at our expense. Now it's very clear now.
Well, it's definitely at our expense because, I mean, who pays the taxes in this country?
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
It's all
right.
They're doing it all with tax money. That's the smart thing, I guess. Money. It's a protection racket being run for a monopoly, but they're not even using their own money. They're using taxpayer money to do this, and the people they're taking the money from are people that are being harmed by the lack of access and all the penalties involved.
And that's what you call the tippy top of the greed ladder.
Yeah, and hopefully, hopefully it falls over quickly.
Yeah, well, I think somebody just needs to kick the legs out from under.
I think we do too. And so maybe we can do that. Maybe we can do that. We can build some real momentum here tomorrow, right around the world, wherever you are. Kimron, wherever you are, put on a 420, do something, get some people together, make some noise.
Yeah.
Make some noise. It's not.
I brought Mr.
420 is not just about smoking weed. 420 is about protesting that we can't smoke weed in a lot of different places around the world. People are being executed for weed in places around the world. People are sitting in jail cells for small amounts of cannabis around the world, and here in North America as well. People still don't have proper access. The medical people are still being forced onto pharmaceuticals. People that want recreational drugs are still being forced onto alcohol. This is crazy, folks. So 420 is the time to make some noise, be heard, write a letter, scream it out loud somewhere, go talk to your neighbors, go talk to your politician, demand answers, something.
Tell your doctor.
We got to do something about this.
The more people that ask and the more people that actually make those phone calls and send those letters, each one of those has to be read or listened to by those people in the government.
Yeah.
And the more we send, the more they're going to have to listen, because that's what they're supposed to do.
If you don't understand critical mass, it's the one straw that breaks the camel's back. It's that when enough people know a certain thing, then all of a sudden, somehow, everybody knows it. And that's how you achieve what we're trying to achieve, is through critical mass. Let's make sure everybody knows, and everybody's pissed off, and everybody's trying to do something about it, and eventually we'll have that one more person that writes that one more letter that actually does make the whole thing work. Not that all those other straws and letters weren't important to getting to that point where that one straw would break the back. They're all necessary. All of this is necessary. This is what we have to do. We're not quite sure how much the camel can fucking take. Sorry, Annie Barbie, that one was unnecessary. I got you there. That one was unnecessary. But we don't know how many straws it's going to take or how many letters it's going to take to get this done. So maybe yours is the one. Let's add it to the list. Let's add it to the pile until we got enough. And then that one letter comes in and they go, we're all going to jail if we don't end this prohibition.
Yeah, because they're going to take the people. When the people finally speak, they have to listen because
we have great power.
It's a wave,
yeah,
right. And
we have great power if we are able to unite and use it.
Look at what happened just recently with the truckers and everything. Look at there was a time when cannabis saw that as well, and it wasn't all that long ago. And all we need to do is basically gotta get back on the horse. There's some of us that are still on the horse, don't get me wrong, but some people are so preoccupied lately with everything that's been going on.
Well, legalization took some of the stuffing out of us.
Yep.
The pandemic has taken a bunch of stuffing out of us. And so we need to get back on the horse.
Yep.
That's what we need to do.
Yeah, gotta keep on riding.
Keep on riding.
Right.
Gather more horses.
A really
great.
Chariot.
A really wonderful, great friend of mine and cannabis activist who I'm not going to name, out of respect, is not going to come and talk to us at 420 like she always has in the past, because she's depressed and she's lost her hope. And she's so unhappy about how many times she has so eloquently and so powerfully spoken the truth. And yet, what do we get? You know, we get legalization that slaps us in the face and is the opposite of what we asked for.
I understand that.
You know what? Tomorrow she'll be watching the news and she's going to see how well it's kind of pulled off, and she'll remember the old days and maybe some of that fire.
So all of you activists who are feeling like that,
she still has the fire. I know
she's still there.
She just gotta reach out.
And I don't want to focus on any one person, because I know that a lot of people share what's going on there.
Yes.
That we have been disheartened by a lot of this. We have watched our brothers and sisters leave the fight.
Yeah.
You know, take a payoff and go and work for the other side with the ideal of being able to make it different from the inside. And maybe that can happen, and I hope so. And I don't blame anybody for what they did, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm just saying legalization split us that way.
That's right.
It provided things that people couldn't say no to, and who could blame them for saying yes. But it has really knocked the stuffing out of the movement, because people haven't realized quite what it means yet. It means the Trudeau cartel is raking in huge amounts of fines from you up front without having you to go into court to provide you with cannabis that you can't even trust because the people growing it don't give a shit about you, and trying to replace all of the wonderful farmers who do care. And what would happen if real legalization happened, which is the price would come way down.
Yeah.
Because every farmer, if they weren't restricted by government, would turn all of their usable land into cannabis until the price came down to where people would be willing to pay enough to have some strawberries grown for themselves. And I know that's a doomsday horrible scenario, perhaps a little bit too. It probably wouldn't take that long. Yeah. But to start with, nobody'd be growing any strawberries because that land could be used to grow cannabis, and I can get $100 a pound for the cannabis, and I can get 5 cents a pound for my strawberries. You know? Yeah. And then eventually, like I say, they'd undercut each other until they were growing at reasonable prices, and then enough people say, hey, I really love strawberries, now I'll give you $50 a pound for them. And then some farmers would say, okay, $50 a pound for strawberries, I can do that. Yeah. And we would eventually end up in a balanced world. I think that's what would happen, actually, if the government just immediately stopped saying, okay, nobody's restricted, you can grow a plant, whichever plant you want. If people want to buy it off you, good for you. You get to have a mortgage or a house or whatever it may be.
Brutus says, how many more people have to die before somebody sends out one more letter?
Oh yeah, I know. Right? It's every day, man. Every day. We got 6 people dying in this city alone every day from just the opioid crisis.
Yeah.
Not to mention all the other things that are killing people to do with cannabis prohibition and the lack of access for other medical reasons, etc., etc.,
6 people a day.
Not to mention all the people that are dying from alcohol poisoning or dying from adverse reactions to pharmaceuticals. all because they didn't have easy access to cannabis, and they wouldn't have been drunks, and they wouldn't have been using pharmaceuticals if they had cannabis to use. You can't calculate the amount of lives being lost because of what they're doing.
Yeah.
You can't even calculate. We can't even know. But I'll tell you, we would have a much more wonderful world if we had way more people smoking cannabis or ingesting cannabis than we had drinking alcohol to excess.
Yeah.
We'd have a lot healthier population if people are using natural herbal medicine, cannabis and others, for what's wrong with them, instead of synthetic pharmaceuticals with built-in health defects to cause you to have to need more pills for the side effects, and so that when the doctor says this medicine will work for you, but it might cause you some stomach upset and it might give you some headaches and some other things that you might notice, because they build those noticeable things into those pills so that when you get the stomach ache and you get the headache, you go, oh, right, the doctor told me that might happen. He's right, and he's going to be right about this medicine working for me too. Yeah. And that's what people, and the belief system is way more powerful than any pill they could ever present for you. That's why they have to have placebo and nocebo, because if you believe it's going to work, it's going to help you.
Well, that's because that's the power of your own body.
And that's what they've known for a long time. You dress a guy up in a white coat, tell people he's had 7 years of post-secondary education, that he is an expert on these things, and he's going to talk to you in language that you don't even understand, give you a pill and say, take this, but it probably gives you a headache and a tummy ache. Then you get the headache and the tummy ache, and you go, this guy's a wizard, you know.
I knew that was going to happen.
You know, it's just a sugar pill, but it's going to help you because you believe it's going to help you, because that's what they do. That's what they learn. They also know how to hypnotize you, by the way. And in a doctor's office, there's things going on in there and ways things are done that are putting you into a bit of a trance so that you accept what you're being told there, etc., etc. That's what what we're up against, folks.
Yeah.
So grab hold of your own sensibilities, open up your eyes and think about, you know, who's making money off of what, who should I believe, make good choices for yourself, be reasonable, and let's end drug prohibition, and let's end public servant abuse, because they are abusing us.
In a perfect world, the government would eat some dirt and say, listen, we made a mistake. Cannabis is good for you. It's not this killer stuff. You know?
Where's our apology?
What would it take? Like one press conference?
Yeah. People start believing it again. We're sorry, we made a mistake.
Together.
You know, this was many years ago. You can't blame us because we weren't one of the ones that made that mistake, but we just be carrying the mistake. We're sorry.
Here's what I think is happening.
Yeah.
I have some inside information.
Yeah.
We're building a case. We're going to build a really good case.
Okay. Good.
And then we're going to take them to court.
Yeah.
And we're going to sue them. And the damages that they have perpetrated upon Canadian society by having these particular policies, we're going to speak to just what the costs of some of those are.
Yeah.
And they're going to be flipping huge. And you can't trust these people from Saskatchewan. You know, they come on a professional show here out west, and all of a sudden they're on their phones.
What do you mean? Hey, you're not my mom. Get off my back.
You played for your phone on live, man. Come on.
But you know what I see. The thing is,
it's only halfway to Quebec. In Quebec, it's way worse. It's worse the farther away from the West Coast you get, the worse it is. Just can't trust people.
You know. Man, and just, you know, I was so worried I was going to screw this up, right?
Yeah.
What was that? What would that take? About 20 minutes, guys? You know? But, you know, what I was going to say is we know the numbers right now is we're losing 6 a day.
Just to the opioid crisis.
Right.
Yeah. Here in the city of Vancouver. Or Metro Vancouver.
We should be able to save 6 a day.
We should be able to save most of those 6 that are dying, that's for sure.
But you know what? I think in a way that Neil is saving more than 6 a day because of the people who say, I slept for 16 hours.
Oh, no, I know.
I slept for 8 hours. How many times a day do you hear that?
But we're
do you hear it more than 6 days?
We're restricted from doing what we want to do.
Yeah.
Right?
We're limited. We're a bit handcuffed because of the lack of government support. That's a point that I like to make all the time.
Yeah.
That we know we're missing people. The people are falling through the cracks here. We're not reaching everybody. We found that out when the Blue Door was shut down just a couple months ago now. That a number of people in the neighborhood that were relying on the Blue Door had no idea that this RV park here was actually an option for them and a source for them. And the sad thing is that the Blue Door was being used by a lot of people outside of this neighborhood as one of the few dispensaries where you could get...
My son was coming in from Surrey.
Yeah, people were coming in from all over the place to go and buy a couple ounces on a Friday, Saturday night.
Right now you're still...
And none of those...
And my son.
See, this is what happens. You're talking crap about him and starts calling.
He's dialing your number and your ears are burning. Nice. Yeah, so, you know, those people don't know about us, and they don't have reasonable access to cannabis. They don't have cheap prices or high-dose edibles that are easily available to them. So we know that there's a whole bunch of people that are going to die because the government won't support a low-barrier access community cannabis store in neighborhoods right across Canada that need this. You need it in Saskatchewan.
Oh, man, do we
I've
ever.
been told. Mary in Winnipeg, holy smoke, she's got 300 people now, just like that, within a few times. I'm going there.
Already, eh?
300 people there, you know, basically swarming her for everything that she's got. She needs help. Wow. She needs more donations. She needs some dedicated bakers and donators. She needs help in Winnipeg, and Winnipeg needs help. And so do a lot of other places. William Hicks called me today. They just passed a year in London, Ontario. Thanks to Mary McCarty going there and starting it there.
I remember that. Her saying that she was
Yeah, they've now done a full year. And, you know, William said it was very cold there today. I think they had over 120 people. That it's so well received. When people get their packs, they're just so happy, you know. And we have certainly experienced that here too. That they and I know. I mean, maybe it's hard for me to remember a little bit because it's been 5 years of giving out cannabis to people. But man, oh man, when you're hurting, to get to somebody to hand you a joint, that can just make your day, man. Like
especially people who like wake up sore.
Yeah,
right. If they
got nothing, they wish they had something. They're trying to find a little bit of resin or something. You know, it's like finding that little stash that you forgot you put away somewhere, and now you got enough for a couple days. People are. It's such benefit to people. This stuff.
It's funny that you mentioned that because I was having a discussion with someone a few weeks back about how everyone used to be a scavenger smoker. And whether or not that is a loose term, it makes a lot of sense because our ability numerous years ago to access the plant that we needed.
In Saskatchewan.
But I mean, lots of other places too, right?
Lots of other places
right?
too. It's just not basically this little bubble of Vancouver.
But the general population don't have basic access, right? Yeah. And they didn't even have a basic access then, so they get a little bit and it cost them a lot of money. But they still had a little bit. They had medicine for a little bit of time, and I remember being like that. And as people progress, you know, and they need more and more medicine, right? And so there's got to be.
I remember on my first Freedom Tour, meeting people in rural Ontario that were paying $70 for an eighth of ditch weed, and you'd have to smoke the whole thing. To get the buzz, but they'd get the buzz and
for $70,
and they'd appreciate it.
So you need to go Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and a fair chunk of Ontario, right?
Yeah.
And then things pick up on either end of the coast, mainly because there's also port cities which allow
much more population,
right? And it's really great hash.
Yeah,
that comes in the port, man. Like, hey, if anyone has ever tried port hash,
legendary.
Yes, very, very, very legendary.
All right. Thank you, Sterling. Appreciate you coming on and joining us here. We will see you tomorrow.
I'll see you at your house.
Yeah, Sterling will be on stage. We'll see what time we put him up there. We're not sure about the times yet for speeches. Because it's going to be a fluid. It's going to be a very fluid day, and we're going to take it as it goes.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great idea.
I want to fall off stage at the door. It's bigger.
Remember Cannabis Day last year when I was walking up the stage and I bailed? I was going up the back of the stage and I bailed. So now you guys have
we have security now, and we have enough people that probably somebody will catch
so you can just have someone to throw me out afterwards. Perfect. Pick me up, please.
Somebody will probably catch you.
Yeah. All right.
Maybe.
All right. Try not to have too much fun before tomorrow, and then have as much fun as you can, buddy. It's going to be a great day.
He's got my place. We'll keep him under control.
All right.
Okay. But mind you, a lot of people have lost their places, and now there are going to be a few people sleeping in trucks in front of my house tonight. Yeah. So, but that's all right. More the merrier.
Okay.
Right? Yeah.
Very cool, gentlemen.
All right. We'll see you tomorrow, sir.
We'll see you tomorrow.
And we'll see you in a bit. Yeah.
Right. I can't wait. I can't wait. I've been so excited for so long. So, yes. The prime theme of the show here, other than THC, of course, truth, hope, and change. Well, really, the truth, hope, and change is surrounding the whole issue about access to cannabis for medical people, for anybody. But primarily our focus here with the Cannabis Substitution Program is people that are struggling with addiction to opioids and other street drugs. and are dying at an alarming rate for the last 5 years here, as there's been a poisoning of the drug supply for whatever reason. Fentanyl became introduced here, and it's killed a lot of people, and it continues to do so. So in response to that, myself having personal knowledge with respect to how cannabis high-dose edibles can get people through withdrawal and then replace the use of those other substances for whatever it is that people are using it for. Typically people are addicted to drugs or get addicted to drugs as a response to trauma. That's Sterling pointed that out, and he's very correct in that. What we've learned over the last decade or more here on the downtown east side is that the people that are struggling with addiction, that use every day, are people that find relief, or at least originally found relief from the opioids, from alcohol, from the other substances that they become involved with, from trauma that's happened in their life. And that trauma comes in many different forms, but that's essentially the truth of it. That there's a large number of people in our society that start dabbling in the opioids in college, high school, in other settings, and it's kind of been there, done that. You know, tried that for a weekend or two, didn't really do for me anything special, blah blah blah, and they don't continue to use it. The people that continue on using it are people that have been suffering with trauma, be it physical pain or emotional abuse or whatever it is that is the source of the trauma. And when they're introduced to those same opioids and other substances, alcohol as well, they find some relief. They get some distraction from the suffering, and that's why they continue to use it. And when you continue to use opioids and alcohol and some of these other substances, there's physical responses within the human body that result in there being a necessary physical response to the cessation of using those particular substances, called withdrawal. Withdrawal from opioids is, I've been told, 7 levels of hell. I've never had to withdraw off opioids. I don't know. But I've been here long enough to understand that it's a very difficult thing for people to do. That there's lots of people here that are not happy with where they're at in their life and their relationship with these other substances, and they would like to take a break. They would like to stop doing the drugs that they're doing every single day the way that they're having to do them to stave off the onset of withdrawal symptoms. So they try, and they don't succeed in most cases. The success rate for trying to get through withdrawal is very, very low. Most people have to try it several different times. There needs to be some sort of assistance and process involved that allows them to have success. It is seriously not easy at all. But high-dose edibles, cannabis edibles, is shown to be effective for that. And that's what we learned when we had the herb school here about 20 years ago in downtown East Side with cakes and brownies. And we were right by Main and Hastings. We were actually just 1 block over from where we are right now on Hastings Street for 3.5 years. And over that time, we learned from the people in the neighborhood who were using these hard substances that the cannabis edibles were very powerful, were able to help them get through nights of not doing those other substances, to get successfully through the withdrawal week or so, 4 days to a week of real hell before the next phase takes over. And then over the course of time, I had a number of people that would come and thank me for us being there and tell me that cannabis saved their life and that they don't use those other substances anymore. So when the overdose crisis hit, right away, I recognized that, well, we need to make high-dose edibles easily available to people. That's what we need to do. And right at the same time, the city of Vancouver decided that there was too many unlicensed illegal dispensaries, even though we didn't have legalization in Canada yet. But they decided to legalize these dispensaries that were in town and came up with a whole bunch of different rules for these licensed or soon to be licensed by the city dispensaries. That one of them was no high-dose edibles allowed. No edibles at all, as a matter of fact, were allowed based on Vancouver's regulations of these dispensaries. Well, that was the complete opposite approach. And so that prompted me to go to City Hall. Well, first I went and talked to some friends of mine about what we thought we could do about this. I went to VANDU, the Vancouver Area Network of Drug Users Advocacy Group here in Vancouver, that I'd had a long relationship with, of trying to find sane drug policy in the world here, and especially with having the herb school so close to Main and Hastings. We were quite involved with VANDU. In fact, in 2009, Vandu had asked me to dispense cannabis from their offices, which I did for 2 weeks until the lawyers for Vandu shut it down because they felt that they would lose their funding from the province if they continued to do that, even though everybody knew at Vandu and on the street that cannabis was getting people off of those other drugs. But there had been a war against cannabis for a very long time based on a lot of factors that we've talked about on the show before, and that war was continuing back then for sure. And so in 2009 they shut down my attempt with Vandu to have cannabis as an option for people. But fast forward to 2015, we've got a new overdose crisis hitting the streets. People dying of a poison drug supply. And it was very clear to me that we needed to have a way for people to get high-dose cannabis edibles. So after Vandu said that they would support me, unanimous decision by their board to, number one, allow me to go to City Council and present it to them with the backing of Vandu, a respected organization. And number two, no matter what happened at City Hall, the ability to use their facilities and have them cooperate with myself and the people that would soon join me in handing out cannabis high-dose edibles. So armed with that, I went to the city and presented it to them properly and told them we were going to save people's lives, and this was a real viable answer. I brought a care pack and a clear plastic bag of several high-dose edibles that we were giving out to people, and I told City Council, this is a real true supply, or safe supply. This is the true safe supply right here. But City Council, afraid of Health Canada, and who knows what other underlying reasons, wouldn't talk to me about it, wouldn't support me in it, avoided my repeated attempts to talk to them about it, even had a professional lobbyist spend a few months trying to get City Council in Vancouver to support what we were going to be doing. But without that, I did get the support of a few wonderful people within the cannabis dispensary industry, the medicinal cannabis dispensary, Weeds, Glass and Gifts, and a few others that provided me with donations. And within no time, I had volunteers showing up and just randomly doing 4 Saturdays in a row. The 4th Saturday that I showed up there at noon, there was a long lineup of people waiting to get some cannabis edibles, and so that became the day, and for a full year we dispensed high-dose edibles in care packs, 4 to 6 edibles per pack, to hundreds of people that would line up for hours all year long. We did it for actually 3.5 years right outside of Vandu. We did the preparations inside Vandu, and then the lineup was outside. Rain or snow or heat or wind or all the different horrible conditions that Vancouver weather can offer, people would line up for hours to get that medicine. Over the course of that time that we did that, we had our group studied, data taken by Dr. M.J. Malloy and his group at UBC. Consequently, dozens of studies were put out by him that were peer-reviewed and spoke to the efficacy and the safety of cannabis high-dose edibles with respect to opioid replacement. Armed with that, and because of that, the City of Vancouver passed a motion 2.5 years after we started, and said that they would allow for low barrier access, and that we met with them and met with the council to put the motion forward, and we were excited about having the ability to go find a storefront and move our project indoors. And we eventually, over time, found a landlord that would rent to us, even though we were upfront and honest about the fact that we weren't part of the Cannabis Act, but we wanted to be, that we were going to provide cannabis for people. And most landlords' lawyers knew better than to allow for that, because they'll seize your property and fine you and all that kind of stuff. But we found a good landlord who liked what we were doing and rented us a space and believed that we could get city support. But we didn't get city support because we couldn't get Health Canada support yet. And I say yet, it's been, we're going on 2 years. It's been over 1.5 years since we applied to Health Canada. It's been 22 months coming up to how long since we've actually been on the block and opened up the storefront. It lasted only 5 months until we had to move into an RV because the city wouldn't give us the license until Health Canada did. And the landlord's lawyer said, well, you better get them out of there because otherwise, you know, you're going to get fined or they're going to seize your building. And so he kept renting to us, but I promised him that we wouldn't sell cannabis out of the store here anymore until we got those permissions. And so we bought an RV and we park it out front, and now we've been in the RV for over 17.5 months. That's a very long time. That's a very long time to be sitting in a very cramped RV. George is big, Jen's not small, Andrew, he doesn't care. But, you know, for those two and for me, it's a cramped space, and 8 hours in there is a real tough task. I'm finding it very difficult to be open on Mondays and sit sideways at a window with my head turned and my neck seizing up, and, you know, the head height about here and crawling around and having to crawl over things. It's just not easy out there. I mean, I'm not trying to be a complainer, but I am saying that it's cruel and unusual punishment by our government to have allowed for my wonderful group of staff and volunteers to have to endure winters and summers in a cramped little RV that was meant for a weekend drive somewhere, not for somebody to be occupying as a place of business. But that's what's going on, and so we will continue our quest for low barrier access community cannabis stores until we get it. We will be resilient, we will be persistent, we will be relentless. We are not going to go away, we are not going to give up, we are going to continue. And eventually, hopefully, we can get this corrupt government and this corrupt world to allow for people to have reasonable, low-cost, low-barrier access to what is just a plant that is a pretty good plant that would help a lot of people if they could get it easily, and ain't going to hurt nobody by having it easily available. Hopefully, eventually, we're going to get this. I believe it. I wouldn't be fighting for it if I thought there was no hope, for sure. I believe they're going to have to do it. I believe we've done things the right way. I believe that there's a lot of good people that are trying to help us get this done, and it will happen eventually, and then we'll have a wonderful celebration, and I'll shed some tears of joy right on the show here for you, and you know, it'll be a wonderful day for us and the rest of the world if we could actually have easy access for people to have stores, so that other people can have easy access to what's available in those stores. So easy access all the way around, low barrier all the way around. Canada deserves to have low barrier access to cannabis, in my opinion. This brings us to the part of the show where we go and check on what's going on outside and get a little update on the Ganja Mobile, the CSP Healing Wave van that is probably more like a pipe than you would imagine. It certainly does get hotboxed in there, that's for sure. So let's go see. At just what time of day? You should have music that plays in that little break there, right?
You can sing if you like.
Oh, cannabis, it's coming fast tomorrow. It is a beautiful day in downtown Vancouver. One day before 420, my Google weather forecast has been for nothing but rain, 90% rain, for the last more than 10 days that I've been looking at it. And here it is, beautiful, and not expected to have any rain until like tomorrow night around 11 o'clock. So Greg Williams, thanks for pulling some strings for us up there, buddy. I figured you could and would. And I hope you're going to be smiling down on us. We're going to miss you so much, my friend. And we're going to try to do you proud. And yeah, have a great day tomorrow at the Art Gallery in Vancouver. So here we are at the Ganja Mobile, the Healing Wave RV. Looking a little worse for wear. It's time for a wash, maybe even a new paint job. But it's been sitting here for a long time. So how you doing, Jen? Good. I can't keep you because we actually have people waiting for you to talk to them, so we'll come back and see you in a little bit here. So, hello. So here we are. This is the back of the. You should close that and hide until we come and see you, right? So this is the back of the RV. This is the Cannabis Substitution Program end of the RV. This is where people come to get their CSP care pack. And I got my signs out here, which I'm very proud of. I think it's important that all the people that are driving by get to have a look at what we're doing here, and we have a little bit of minor explanation, and I hope it's not too much explanation, because I really want them to stop and ask me too, and they do that from time to time and say, hey, what is really going on here? And we tell them, you know, we want to have cannabis as an option for people that are otherwise stuck using these other drugs that they're trying to use to do what they have to do for themselves. And there needs to be cannabis here, especially in the form of high-dose edibles. And so that's what we're doing, is we're providing it from this RV, because we can't get the government to give us a license yet. And we tell the story. So anyway, when you come here, this is what happens. Well, by the way, before I do that, I want to point the camera over here for a minute. This is my good friend, Yo.
Yep.
Yo is a perennial volunteer for 420. He's made the hitchhiking trip from 2016, 2017, 2018. Yo showed up, you know, just brought some Quebec life to the dreary BC coast here, and helped us roll joints, and helped us with all kinds of things, and helped us have a great time. And he's here again after missing the last few years and being back in Quebec and not having a great time of it back there. And so you're going to stay now.
Yeah.
You're going to say, is it so long to Quebec? It's in, get out of here. Get out of here.
They're crazy over there.
They're crazy over there.
Crazy friends.
We love them though. We love them, but they're crazy. All right. And so yeah, Yo's here for 420 and to stay, and we're thrilled to have him, of course. So if you're coming to 420 tomorrow, look for Yo. He'll be somewhere easy to spot. What's going on? I didn't knock, but I'm here. Should we try that again? Okay. Take two. All right. Cannabis Substitution Program, Healing Wave Van, take two.
There we go. How you doing, guys?
Ah, very good.
It's a beautiful day.
Nobody
today.
saw that first take at all, I'm sure. Anyway, Andrew, you're looking good.
I'm doing all right. We have done 24 members today.
And the sun is shining on you, and that makes me very happy.
Yes, it is.
Yes,
the sun
it
is
is
shining very nicely.
Oh my goodness. It looked like rain, you know, all last 2 weeks, and now the sun is shining.
It's a great day.
And
that's why I've had so many people that come out today.
I am so excited now about 420. I was really excited anyway, but it was raining so hard yesterday.
Yeah.
You know, we drove by the art gallery yesterday. We looked at it. I was like, oh man, if it's raining like this, it's not going to be fun. We're going to be there.
No, you'll be
but,
there.
You know, it wouldn't have been fun. If it's sunny like this,
beautiful.
We're going to have a wonderful day, a great day of protesting for sure. So people knock on the door. They're members here. What do you got for them?
What do I got for them? I got some of this. I got low donations today. Very, very low donations.
I see.
I need people out there who like to make edibles, baked goods. If they want to donate, they're more than welcome. Because we need them.
We need donations here.
Got this. We just ran out of cookies. We don't
have cookies now.
Joe brought cookies 2 days ago. They're gone.
I see.
And that was about 60 cookies. They're gone.
I've got some inside actually that I'm going to put over here on this end. So what we've got today is
Sean. Sean is a great supplier because gummies. Yeah. He does so much.
That's
gummies.
Green Wilderness.
Yes.
Green Wilderness.
They do so much for us, and the gummies are so good, right?
Yeah.
You know, they bring.
In fact, those two things that we have there represent two amazing companies that have been so profound in our organization being able to continue this.
Yeah.
Green Wilderness and the Gorilla Ganja, incredible supporters of ours and other places as well. I know Gorilla Ganja is throughout the neighborhood donating to other places as well. We wouldn't be here without those two, I'm pretty sure.
These are the best items. These two items, these two types of gummies are the best kind of items there is. This is 20 gummy bears at 5 milligrams each, so that makes 100 milligrams.
So we have caps though too, right?
And we have this one here from Gorilla Ganja is a mango sativa with 40 indica and 40 sativa.
Yeah.
And we have a pure CBD. So these ones are these Gorilla Ganjas and these ones right here are the most popular gummies. So if people could just have gummies, they would.
Right. And then there's caps, right?
There's caps.
And caps are really important too. In fact, if all we had was caps, that would do the job. But we want to have more for people. We want to give them a variety of different good edibles that they like.
Today I've had gummies and caps, and I've seen more people take caps today because I've really told them how how they work. These are 50 milligram caps.
Yeah, from Dirty Dave.
They're great. I've taken some before, and they work really good.
Yeah.
So I've kind of tell people how they work. That's all we've got today.
Yeah.
Because we can't give everybody all gummies. We'd like to. I'd love to. I'd love to give everybody what they need.
Yeah.
But we can't do that because
we can only do what we can do.
We need more donations.
Yeah, we can only do what we can do. We do everything we can do with what we get and what we've got. I usually don't turn anything down, and we make sure that whatever we get goes back out to the people.
These have become more popular. These 50 milligram keep pills.
Yeah.
Very more popular. A lot more people.
Eden had a program here in Vancouver for a while as well, and all they had was caps for people, but that was quite successful as well.
And these are
but they had to shut down because of the regulations against dispensaries.
See, caps do work. If you only had caps, they would work just perfectly.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But we want more than that.
Yeah.
We need more than that. People do need more than that.
We have a variety of people. What can I say? A variety, like a different variety of people.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of
here.
different people.
So everybody's different. So everybody wants something different, right? Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, and also we have other programs going on, sister or other chapters. Chris Backer in Halifax has been running there for over 2 years. In London, Ontario, Mary started up there, and William Hicks has been running there for over a year now. And now Mary's in Winnipeg, and she started one up there. And all of those 3 other chapters, they really need donations. This is a great project. It's great for a number of different reasons. It's saving people's lives. You know, it could touch your family at any time. And if those of you are out there that have been touched by the opioid crisis, this is a good way to give back and a good way to save other families from going through that same type of grief. And so, and the other thing, it should allow for stores to be available to people to be able to walk into and get cannabis in all of its different forms, high-dose edibles, good quality flowers, concentrates, extracts of all different sorts, topicals, suppositories, whatever people need in the way of cannabis.
Yeah, exactly.
It should allow for that to happen. And to be affordable for people, because low barrier means it can't be too expensive, and because cannabis is such a prolific plant, it grows so easily and so well that it can be produced cheaply. You can produce cannabinoids cheaply and put them into all these different other products and bring it to the marketplace at prices that people can really afford, who need large amounts, who need to use it on a daily basis. So we're hoping that that's what happens, that's what we're trying to do here, and we need support. These programs need to be able to be maintained to make that happen, to keep them going until the government has to recognize what we're doing and support us in that. So please help in any way that you can. If you want to help the movement of cannabis legalization, if you want to help stop people from dying of opioids, then please donate to the Cannabis Substitution Program, whatever it is that you have, cannabis in whatever form, edibles in whatever form, in any way that you want to donate. It'll help us do what we're doing here, and we can win this one day. We can get low barrier cannabis access for people.
And we can clean up the streets by using cannabis.
And we can clean up the streets.
We can clean up this area. If you don't like coming down this area, marijuana is the gateway to come down here for, right?
Yeah,
marijuana
it's a gateway out of here
for
people.
Yeah, and a lot of parents would like to see their kids more on marijuana than they would the other drugs. To find out your kid's on heroin is not very nice. But if you find out he's on marijuana, well, that's a little different, because it's a totally different drug. It's not going to hurt him. It's not going to kill him. And the parents won't be so worried as much, right? But there's a lot of parents out here worried about their kids.
Oh man, for good reason.
It's a battle out here.
It's heartbreaking.
And we're trying to save that battle.
Yeah, it is heartbreaking for sure.
Sure it is.
All right, thank you, Andrew.
Okay, thanks guys, I appreciate it.
There he is. We were hiding on him for a minute. I see, we have a visitor in there. Good to see you, Sterling.
Hi, Neil.
Hey.
Long time no see, buddy.
Yeah, eh? It's been a year. So any stories for us, Jen?
I don't know.
Okay.
I may have come in here and rolled a joint, you know, and I
You
just kind of went out the
distracted
window
her.
after that. Well,
I see.
I don't get to see her very often. I don't get to see you very often.
I know. Well, we should send you home with a picture.
It's like a family reunion.
We'll send you home with a picture, and you just, anytime you want to see us, you just look at the picture. There we
You have
are.
no idea how much I would love that, man. I'd be like, hey, look at all my cool friends.
Yeah,
Right?
they're probably already hiding in your phone. All right, we're coming in.
All right.
Well, children, Daddy's home. Yeah, this has kind of been home for a while, for sure. I think probably, I don't know, maybe, George, how many hours do you spend at home? You don't get home until what, 9, 10 o'clock, and then you're up at what time leaving? So how many hours are you at home?
At home total, like
Yeah,
not sleeping
in a 24-hour,
3 hours awake,
3 hours awake.
and in about 2.5, 3 hours sleeping. So 6 hours a day maybe.
I see, and here you're 8 hours a day plus,
Plus, yeah.
and no sleeping. Well, you better not be.
No, no sleeping.
Don't let me catch you. So yeah, this is truly maybe even the first home and not the second home for those of, I can't say me because I'm not out in the RV all day, but I'm certainly right here just about, and this is home for me. I'm in the shop and here. But these three dedicated souls. We
spend most of our time here. Yep.
Yeah, 6 days a week, 8 hours a day, a little bit more in the RV because it takes about a half an hour in the morning to set the RV up. It takes about 15 minutes at night to pack it all up and move it all out of here. We don't leave anything in the RV at night. That would be crazy in this neighborhood. But at the same time, we've been in this neighborhood for all this time. We've never had a break-in in the RV. Touch wood on that, for sure. But, you know, we are very well supported in this neighborhood. The people on this block know what we are all about. And yet we've never had anything like that go sideways because we're really here helping people every day, so many people every day, that the neighborhood would be really upset if we were robbed. They'd be really upset if we were raided. They'd be really upset if we just weren't here anymore. It would be devastating for a number of people. The program, the CSP program that we have, has over 250 members. And I know that those people would be really devastated if they couldn't continue to get what we've been giving them. The 420 milligrams every 4 days, I'm sure they've come to rely on that. Maybe that's not good that we made these people dependent on us giving them what they need. And I'm sure in some cases people have been part of our program and then gone on to be able to look after themselves and not required. In fact, we've had some people give up their numbers because they didn't need us anymore. They could look after themselves. We have other people here that are part of the program, but they don't take the full 420 because they say they don't need it, and they'd like to make sure that there's stuff for other people. So there's a real wonderful spirit that is involved in all that we're doing here. We really do bring out the best in people, and we really do try to present the best to people. We don't just dispense cannabis from here. We are an ear for people to talk into. We will listen to people. We will give them our advice and tell them our stories and communicate in ways that make them feel like they're actual valid human beings. And that's really sadly lacking in many of these people's lives that we're dealing with here, where they're really not dealt with well by other people within society, certainly within governments and businesses. And so we're trying to bring back a bit of humanity here, as well as provide cannabinoids for people to help them in the variety of ways that cannabis does that. Cannabis is not just effective in getting people through withdrawal to get off of those drugs, but cannabis in all its different forms can be effective for many of the things that drive addiction in the first place. The lack of sleep, the lack of nutrition, the constant chronic pain that people are in, the depression, the anxiety, those things can be helped with cannabis, and those are things that drive people into using those other drugs to begin with. So it really is, you know, not just a answer, it's probably the best answer. I haven't been presented with anything else that's a better solution to help most of the people that are down here and struggling. Maybe a little more money in their lives, but that wouldn't help them if they were spending that money on the drugs that are liable to kill them. That would help them if they could have more security within their housing and more security within the diets that they have, and an ability to get cannabis easily and cheaply would really go a long way to providing a much better life for people, and a way that people can step out of here and get into, you know, proper work situations, other more comfortable residential situations. This is a crazy neighborhood to be living in the first place. So we're trying to give people a way out, and we're trying to get the government to help us, and that's what it's all about, folks. That's what I tell you every week. That's what we're doing. This is the quest for low barrier access community cannabis stores, and we're going to continue it until we get it, and then we'll have a whole bunch of my shows for the first little while, dedicated to how we transition into a mainstream business with licenses on the wall and the ability to run a business the way that a business should be run, especially one that's in the business of reaching out and providing a real good help to people that need it. That's what we're waiting for. So yeah, thanks for following us on the show here and keeping up with what we're doing. I hope that you're all doing your part in some way, a phone call, a letter, an email, a conversation, a poster, a sign, a rally, you know, whatever it is that can give you some energy about helping out in a situation where future generations are going to look back on us and say, well, why couldn't you have at least properly legalized cannabis? I mean, after all, it was one of the least harmful things in your environment and so beneficial for so many things. You guys that came before us couldn't at least get that much done? So let's get her done. Let's legalize cannabis properly. Let's legalize it for the poor people and the sick people. Let's legalize it for whatever farmer wants to grow it without any serious cost or restrictions. Let's just free the cannabis plant. Let's just improve the quality of life in Canada as a result and pave a way for our future generations to look back on us and say, well, thank you for at least legalizing cannabis properly. We still got a whole bunch of problems in the world, but at least that one's done, and now we have a different mentality and a different way of creating and a different way of healing ourselves and a different way of approaching things, because we're a love-based society, no longer a fear-based society. We're a cannabis-based society instead of an alcohol and pharmaceutical-based society. That's the switch that we need to make before the next generations come along, so at least they can have a stepping stone to actual freedom from there. Well, thanks for listening. Thanks for whatever it is you're doing. Thanks for whatever you're going to do in the future. Make sure as you go through the world you're kind to yourself and you're kind to other people, because that's just the way to do it. No need for anything else. No random acts of kindness, constant acts of kindness. Why the heck not? And in fact, if you do that, you'll be living up to my credo, which is, as you know, have as much fun as you can. See you next week.
Hey, people give us all kinds of nice things in different ways.